Welcome back to the Sauce Lab, and Hollandaise sauce is one of the mother sauces. So if you recall, we've had tomato sauce, bechamel, espagnole, Hollandaise, and velouté. Those are your 5 mother sauces. Hollandaise sauce is very, very rich. If you've ever been to like a hibachi grill like Benihana or something and they make golden shrimp, that sauce they put on the shrimp is very much like a Hollandaise sauce, very rich. So this recipe requires a great deal of multitasking. So you and your partner are going to have to be on your game and know what's going on. So I'm just going to get a few things started right here. First, you're going to serve this over broccoli or asparagus. Broccoli cooks very, very fast. We're going to steam it. So you're going to get probably large pieces of broccoli. This has been washed, and you can just kind of cut it off the stem here. Okay? And so what I'm going to do, and some people don't have steamers at home. So an easy way to make a steamer is I have water in that bottom pan, and then you just use a colander, and you put your broccoli in there. And then you can put a lid on top. Now, broccoli in a steamer, actually I will get a larger lid for that so it's completely covered. Broccoli cooks in about 3 or 4 minutes in a steamer. So I've got it ready, but I'm not ready to start cooking because Hollandaise takes a lot longer than 3 or 4 minutes. Then, if you look at your recipe, it calls for warm butter. So right now, and it calls for 2 cups. That's an entire pound of butter, 4 sticks. So you want to get that butter melted and warm before you start because you can't stop the process. This is very similar to making mayonnaise like you made in Culinary Basics. So I know you're very excited about that because that was so much fun. So I'm going to take this off, and it'll start to cool, but it's hot enough that it will stay warm when we need it. So we will be back in just a minute. It'll be very important on your planning and prep day that you pre-measure everything precisely and label your bags carefully. All right, this is as unforgiving as mayonnaise is. So if you remember, some people did mayonnaise several times before they got it right or it broke. So it has to be very precise. What you need to do, and I've already done this, is I've combined 3 ounces of white wine vinegar and 2 ounces of water. Okay, and what you're going to do, and then I also need to add some peppercorns. Now the recipe calls for white peppercorns. We usually don't buy white peppercorns because they're so expensive. Okay, so we're going to just use black ones. All right, and those go in there as well. Your recipe says to reduce this by half. So for you mathematicians out there, what that means is this is 5 ounces. You need to cook it until there's only 2.5 ounces left. So yes, you're going to have to be measuring that liquid as it reduces until it gets to 2.5. All right, so I've got that on 5, and you'll need to watch that. You're basically, it can boil off. You want to boil off 2.5 ounces, so there's 2.5 left. So while that's getting hot, you can separate your eggs. What we need here are the egg yolks, as you remember from the mayonnaise lab. So you need 6 egg yolks. So there's 5. Okay. And again, all we want is the egg yolk. Okay. All right. So we're going to beat these a little bit and just get them mixed. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to come back when this is at 2.5 ounces to show you how to do that. But what I'm doing is I'm going to get this hot and just let 2.5 ounces boil off. So we will be back. Okay, this reduction only took about 5 minutes. I sat here babysitting it, just keeping it moved. Now, the directions say to pour this through a fine mesh strainer, and we do not have one, so you can always make do with other things that you may have at home. It doesn't mean you need to go buy one. So the purpose of the fine mesh strainer is to get out these chunks of peppercorn. So I've simply used a paper towel to kind of work like a coffee filter. All right, so we want to let that drain. So we're going to give that a second to finish dripping. And if you read the next thing, it says that we need to put the egg yolks on a double boiler. So I have already gotten some water hot. It's part of that multitasking thing. All right. All right. It's almost done there. All right. So this is going to go over the double boiler. Now what that heat is going to do is cook these egg yolks. Now we do not want scrambled eggs. All right, that would be really gross on your shrimp or on your asparagus or your broccoli. So you and your partner will want to take turns stirring because you're going to be stirring now constantly until your hollandaise sauce is done. All right, so as this cooks, all right, it's going to get thicker and thicker. And when you can take this through it and it leaves a trail, you know that it's thick enough to start moving forward. All right, so we will be back when this has gotten thick enough to proceed to the next step in the recipe. I misspoke. As soon as you have gotten all the vinegar out through the paper towels, you want to add that vinegar mix reduction to your yolks. Okay? So, in here we have our 6 egg yolks, and we have our 2.5 ounce reduction, again, which was the reduction of the water, vinegar, and peppercorns. So now we're going to continue cooking this until it leaves a trail through there. It's going to get thicker, and it won't take too awfully long, but we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, it's nice and thick. It's leaving a trail, so I am pulling this off the heat. All right, you have to take it off the heat at that point. Now you add 1 ounce of lemon juice, so you need to make sure you have the right lemon juice because you have one that's 1 ounce and one that's a ½ ounce. Now another use for hollandaise sauce is eggs benedict, which is it's an old dish, meaning it came back from the long time ago. All right, so there we go. I'm going to turn off the water here because we definitely don't need that anymore. Now this is your favorite part. This is going to bring back such fond memories. We have put our butter into a squirt bottle, and you're going to start by adding a couple drops at a time. And some of you are cringing because you know what this means. This means lots and lots of stirring. Okay? All right, and again, you and your partner can keep switching jobs here. But as you see, I'm letting it go a drop at a time while I stir. And yes, this is painful, and that is very, very tedious. Now, once this starts getting really thick, you can add the butter a little bit faster, but as you know from mayonnaise, if you get overzealous and add a whole bunch because you're tired of stirring, it will not work. All right? So we'll be back in a little bit just to show you our back. We're doing a status check here. You can see this is all the butter that we have left. Stirring that in here is probably taken about 7 minutes. So we have about 4 minutes left if we're going at the same pace. And I have turned on the broccoli. And when you use a steamer, you can turn it on high because all you're really heating up is water. So the broccoli should be done about the time our hollandaise sauce is done. Now, something about hollandaise is it's a permanent emulsion. The reason eggs are in mayonnaise or hollandaise sauce is because egg yolks contain lecithin, and lecithin is an emulsifier. So what the emulsifier does is it marries 2 ingredients that don't like each other. And in this case, that is your oil from the egg yolks and your vinegar water mixture that you added at the beginning. As you know, Italian salad dressing's vinegar and oil, and you have to shake it up every time before you use it because they don't like each other. So lecithin forces them together and they get married, they stay married, and it's a permanent emulsion. All right, so once this hollandaise sauce is done, it will not separate. All right, so we'll be back in just the butter is done. All of the butter has been stirred into our hollandaise sauce. So the last thing you need to do is add ½ ounce of lemon juice. All right, so there's our ½ ounce. Now, what I did so that I kept my lemon juice straight, this was 1 ounce and it was in a bigger bowl, and this was a ½ ounce and this was in a smaller bowl, so that I didn't mess them up when I was putting them into my hollandaise sauce. So now at this point, you could add a little bit of salt and pepper if you desire. That would be up to you. You would taste it first and then decide if you would like to season it. All right? So our broccoli is done because that literally only takes a few minutes. So I am going to grab the colander here, our steamer, our makeshift steamer. Okay? And I'll put a bowl there, and I'm going to grab some tongs. Now this is a 1-day lab, meaning you'll prep the day before and then you'll cook. So I'm just going to lay some broccoli out here. Okay. All right, this would be like a dish for one person. And then I'm going to just get a small scoop. Now there's different ways you could serve this. You could serve this in a custard cup for dipping. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to drizzle a little bit over our broccoli. Okay, there you go. Enjoy.